Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my September TBR. What am I going to be reading in the month of September? So August has been a really great reading month. I think it's been my best reading month of the year, but there are still some reoccurring books which I haven't managed to get to in August, which have been on a few TBRs and will continue to be in my September TBR. So I will get into my August wrap up at some point when I film that next weekend. But for right now, it's still August. I still do have time to read some more things, but here are some of the ideas of things that I am going to be reading next month in September. I'm really hoping I can continue my August energy and keep reading the quantity and the quality that I've had in August, that I can bring that into September. I'm crossing my fingers that it will be another really, really productive reading month. So I will definitely have one carryover from August into September. I am trying to wrap up a few more books before the end of the month, filming this on like the 26th, 27th of the month. So I do have a few more days and I do endeavour to read some more, but this book will definitely be carried over, and that is La vérité sur l'affaire Harry Kuber, which is The Truth About the Harry Kuber Affair. I always want to add an L in there, by Joel Dicker. So this has been translated into English. It is originally a French book by a Swiss author, and it has also been made into a TV show which I have not seen. My boyfriend really enjoyed this, so I do have it in English. Oh, this one. So I think it's pretty well known as a book. I have started this. I am 100 pages in, but it is 800 or so pages, so quite chunky at 850 pages. I mean, I get that they are quite like small pages because it's a mass market and the font's quite large, so it doesn't. The words themselves don't take long, but it does take me a little bit longer because it is not my native language to be reading in. I don't read in French all of the time, although it seems relatively easy enough to read. There are definitely words that I don't know that come up every so often, and I'm like, oh, that's an interesting word. I don't know what that one is. So I am enjoying it. It is definitely engaging. The situation is that how many years ago a young girl has gone missing, and now her remains have been found, and we are following what happened to her. Who killed her? Was it Harry Kuber? Was it somebody else? Was it what happened? Through the eyes of Marcus Goldman, who is a writer, and Harry Kuber was his mentor. So very intrigued for right now, interested to see where this goes, and we'll be continuing to read this in September, and I really hope I can finish this in September. I'm trying to just do a little bit every day because the new role that I'm starting at work is a French speaking role, so I really want to get my French back up to speed. And then there's some repeats, so some books that I've spoken about in previous TBRs that I still have not got to, but I do want to get to. I feel as though right now I've been doing like one finale a month, and maybe it's a bit challenging to do more than that potentially. I just feel as though with these finales is they're very long, and it takes a lot of like, not willpower, but it can be a little bit, not draining also doesn't feel like the right word, but after reading like a 700 page book, the last thing you want to do is pick up another 700 page book. That's when you want like a short book that you can feel accomplished reading. And that's the thing with these sequels, is that they're all quite long, and finishing one feels like an achievement. I do still have The Bone Shard War by Andrea Stewart to read. I will read it. It will happen by the end of the year. This will be read. Will it be the series that I finish this month? I do not know, but I do still want to read this one. It just hasn't happened yet. And this is a multi-perspective story. We have two main characters, Jovis, who is a smuggler, and Lynn, who is the daughter of the Emperor. It's set in an archipelago, and it's got a really interesting magic system with these things called bone shards, which shards of bone taken from everybody within the population, and these fuel these constructs. But if your shard is in use, then it will slowly drain the life out of you. Very interested to see how this wraps up. I've seen some relatively mixed reviews on this, which I think has been deterring me a little bit, but I do want to finish up the series and see how I feel about it. And then The Poison Song, which I think has been mentioned a couple of times now, which is the final book in the Ninth Reign trilogy. So this one I think might be the next one I do, because it's 560 pages and not 700 pages. But this is like a genre bending fantasy, again, where we have multiple perspectives, and it is set in this world which has these recurring wars with this alien force, and we are in the process of the Ninth Reign, or the Ninth War, and we follow these different casts of characters as that goes into being, and I'm definitely intrigued to see how this is all going to wrap up. We have these like vampiric-like figures, we have witches, we have magical creatures, so very intrigued to see where this goes. And then this one I haven't mentioned before, but it is a finale that I'm now ready to read, and that is The Labyrinth's Heart by M.A. Carrick, the first book being The Mask of Mirrors. So I have been doing a reread of that series, and I am now ready to dive into The Labyrinth's Heart. This is set in like a fantasy Venice, following Ren, who is a con artist as she infiltrates one of the merchant families, and the politics and the drama that goes along with that. It has a really interesting magic system with tarot cards, and I really enjoy all the dynamics with our characters and their different personas. Really interested to see how this is all going to wrap up, as I've been loving my reread of this series. And then not quite a finale, but I have been planning to read it for quite a while, and that is Blood Sanctuary Part 1 by Bella Roth, the third book in the Bloodgrace series. I started this and then put it down as I wasn't in the mood for fantasy romance. This is a fantasy romance that's quite political, following our main characters Leo and Cassia, who at the start of the book start communicating as Leo's people are called to a summit, which hasn't happened in 400 years, and it is the relationships and the relationships in trying to form a deal between the human and the vampiric races. Yeah, I need to just keep going with this and see how I get on. So those are, I think, repeats of ones I've spoken about before, and how I do still want to try and endeavour to read them. I'm hoping that you'll see that slowly things are disappearing off of this list. They are slowly disappearing off of this like series that I need to finish list. Like I am doing it, just slowly, and probably slower than I would want to, but it is happening. I do have a couple of buddy reads. So I am buddy reading the Skyward series in the plans of finishing this year. I'm rereading the first two, so I reread Skyward this month in August, and Starsight is scheduled for September, so I will be rereading this with the plans to finish the series when the fourth book comes out. After this one, it will all be fresh to me, so I haven't read Slytonic or the novellas before. This is a YA sci-fi series following the main character Spencer, who is endeavouring to get into flight school but is being rejected in the beginning due to her heritage and her father being deemed a coward. Plans for this would be to start this in September. And then another buddy read that I had in August was for The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni, which we have all finished and enjoyed. And so I believe we will continue on and do the sequel in September. We haven't really spoken about it, but I will just put it on here that there is potential for me to read the sequel to The Prison Healer, whatever that may be called, I can't remember, in September. Whether we do so or not, it's not been spoken about, but this is a YA fantasy trilogy following our main character Kiva, who has been sent to this prison. She's been there for 10 years and she is the healer there. And at the beginning of the book, there are two new arrivals, both of them new prisoners. One is a young male and one is the rebel queen. She is tasked with looking after the rebel queen and healing her. And at some point, we enter into these trials. I love trials in a book. It is a trope that I really enjoy. So that is this one, and I am now interested to see where the series is going to go. It was a really fun, quick time to read this, and it was very enjoyable. Very enjoyable to race through a book. And then now we move into the Unrealistic land. So I feel as though a lot of those, there is potential I could get to them. I don't think I could get to all of the finales, but like, I can, there will be some progress made in all of those. There'll be something that will be done. But there are some series that I want to start. I feel as though there are so many different books that are calling to me lately, and I haven't been reading them because I've been wanting to finish my damn series. But there are definitely like things that are calling to me that I want to read, and that I want to get off my shelves, that are just doing their siren call. So I don't anticipate I'll get to all of these. Maybe I won't even get to any of them, but here are just some things that are like calling to me. So I have, I guess, the like autumnal vibes would be a couple of these, and that are talking to me. So Dreamer's Pool by Juliette Marillier is calling to me. That foresty setting, I feel like we're heading into autumn. We never really got summer here. London, UK didn't really do summer this year. We sort of skipped the whole thing. We've had a couple of days, but it's literally been that. It's literally been a couple of days. I'm just like, do we just give up on this now and move into like the autumn vibes? And this, I feel as though, I don't know if it gives me autumn vibes, but autumn, spring, I think. I've really enjoyed Juliette Marillet's The Seven Waters series, and I just feel like I would like to read some more from her. I enjoyed the writing that. It was lots of exposition, and then we got into the plot, and I just feel like I'm ready for that again. I'm ready for the forest. I'm ready for like that Irish setting with the hints of romance, with the fantasy plot line. I feel like it'll be enchanting. And then again, with that sort of, I don't know, foresty, darker vibe, the autumnal vibe, I have had One Dark Window Calling to Me by Rachel Gillig. This is I don't know if it's YA new adult, I'm going to call it new adult, fantasy duology, with the second one coming out in October time. And I think it's got a strong romantic plotline and an interesting magic system. I believe our main character Elspeth has this thing called a nightmare, which is trapped in her head, which she speaks to. And then there is a mysterious highwayman. I feel like I've heard generally pretty good things about this, so I think it now would be a good time to get to this one. Different vibes. I've had 5 on a few TBRs and wanted to read this and continue reading my dragon fantasy. I thought I was going to read all my dragon fantasy in like July, and it didn't happen. I read a couple, but I was filming a dragon vlog, and then I just took a pause on reading the dragon books, and now here we are with me still having the dragon books on the TBR to read. So I do want to get to 5 on. I've heard generally very good things about this series. This again is YA, so I feel as though maybe I'm in a bit of a YA moment right now. I had quite a big pause where I wasn't reading any YA, and now I am bringing a few more back into the reading plans. I had too much adult, and I was like, I need some things that are fast. And YA typically is very fast and engaging to get through. This, it's like I've heard it's quite political. We have 2 main characters, and at the beginning of the book, well, no, 10 years prior to the start of the book, or quite a few years prior, there's been a revolution. One of our main characters is from one of the families that was in power before the revolution, but has since lost all power and is looked down upon by society. And one of them was poor before the revolution and now is at the richer side. And we follow them as they go into a dragon rider academy and then learning and training to become dragon riders. And I have The Final Strife by Sarah Earl Arifi, which is the start of a fantasy trilogy. I think this is trial based as well. I do love a trial. Trials just work for me. There are like 3 different sectors in society, like blue bloods, red bloods, gold bloods, or something like that, and the babies have all been switched around, and so they can get experience from other parts of society. And then there are these sets of trials that our characters are going to go into. Finally, another one that's been called to me has been the Veronica Speedwell series, which is historical mystery series, I think, which has quite a few books in it. And I've generally heard that there is a very slow build relationship between our main characters Veronica and Stoker, and that it is many books long, and it takes a very long time for the relationship to come to fruition. And I feel like I'm going to enjoy that, because I generally find when people say something is slow build, it's not slow build enough for me. And I think this is actually a slow build that is actually slow build. So I'm definitely intrigued to see how I feel about this series. The only thing that's been putting me off reading this is that I think there's quite a few books in it, and I don't think it's finished. I feel like I'm going to really enjoy it when I start it. So there's just quite a few series that I'm like, these series are calling to me. They want to be read, and I just haven't read them. But I'm also trying to like work my way through my physical TBR, because I've realised that I wanted to get my TBR to 50 books by the end of the year, and I'm currently at like 70 odd. So I need to get another 20 odd books off my TBR before the end of the year. So I'm really endeavouring to want to do that. That is the plan. I really want to get it down to 50, and then I will feel so accomplished. I'm doing well. I've got it down definitely from last year. I haven't done my check-in yet on my physical TBR because I'm waiting until I get it down to 50. I will get it down. I will. That is something else that is driving me forwards in this endeavour, and encouraging me to have bigger, more unrealistic TBRs. Although actually, my TBR from August was exceptionally unrealistic, and I did an exceptionally good job at getting to quite a few of those books. So I've done well for once. Anyway, let me know what your reading plans are for September, if you have read any of these, and your thoughts, whether I should do like a poll maybe on some of those like new series to start, if people want to vote on which series I would start. I don't mind. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!